You should be a monster. You know, because everyone says, well, you should be harmless, virtuous. You shouldn't do anyone any harm. You should sheath your competitive instinct. You shouldn't try to win. You know, you don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to be too assertive. You want to take a back seat and all of that. It's like, no. Wrong. You should be a monster, an absolute monster, and then you should learn how to control it.
The key with me is no one will outwork me. No one. I love and I respect you guys. Motherfuckers won't outwork me. All starts with this. 2 hands, putting it to work.
But you cannot erase the work ethic part. There is no getting around. Ain't no elevator to the top. You got to take the stairs. The elevator don't go to the top, man. Not in the world of success. You gotta take the stairs. Y'all gotta start getting gritty, man. I hate it when I see young people wasting their time, wasting all this technology got, just sitting around in this world that's been created for you, that everything is instant. But if you can combine your technology with your parents and your grandparents' work ethic, you could be rich, man.
Just ask yourself this week, do people know you for your work ethic? Are people like, man, you work hard? Are people actually commenting about you showing up early and staying late? Because if they're not, you're just blending in with everybody else's work ethic. At the end of the day, talent will not win the game. It is work ethic that will win the game.
You gotta get gritty, man. You gotta develop some dog in you. You got to get messed up sometimes. You gotta get dirty. You gotta get your feelings hurt. You gotta get disappointed. You gotta get told no. But in order to get the life of convenience, you gotta have a very uncomfortable life. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
And you're always gonna have haters, and haters are like, well, damn man, how much are you gonna do? Like, you do a lot of shit. I say, yes, it's my ambition. Of course, you gotta work every day. It doesn't end. And when shit goes bad and it goes sideways, or you're coming through this injury, or people are writing you off, it should drive you.
If you're gonna get it, you're gonna have to have that dog. You got an opportunity. So here's the deal. When you have an opportunity, why would you give 80%, 70%? Why wouldn't you always give 120%? From today on, you play whatever your best game is, you play that level every single time. Every time you practice, you don't care what the circumstances, what the situation is, every single time you give it 120%. It doesn't mean you're gonna score every time, but you can always give 120% effort.
If you think that you're gonna go and accomplish something really special and be the best in anything in the world, and you think you can do it without working, you make a big mistake. Because no matter what I did, if it was in bodybuilding or in acting or if it was in the political arena, it always took a lot of work. And you got to put out, and you got to, sometimes make a lot of sacrifices. Notice, if you're not willing to work hard, forget about it. So there's another rule that is very important.
Work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in, 80 to 100 hour weeks every week.
Yes, I get up at crazy hours, whether it's 3 o'clock in the morning, by the way. When we were talking in London, I was getting up at 3 because I had to be on set by 7. So whatever time my call time is, so my call time is at 7, then you back your clock up 4 hours, and then that's when I get up and train twice. I'll get my cardio in and breakfast, and then I'll go hit the weights. Clanging and banging, we call it.
The only thing that I see that is distinctly different about me is I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. I will run.
You would not be outworked.
I will not be outworked, period. You might have more talent than me, you might be smarter than me, you might be sexier than me, but if we get on the treadmill together, right, there's two things. You're getting off first, or I'm gonna die. It's such a simple, basic concept. It's the guy who is willing to hustle the most is going to be the guy that consistently falls.
I always believe that the bridge between reality and a dream is work. And I always, in moments of despair and doubt and dark days, focus on the work. I show up and I work and I work and I work and I work.
The only thing that you can control that influences success in life is how hard you work, how honest you are, and how well you deal with others. You can control those variables. You can't control how lucky you are, although the more you work, the luckier you get. You have no influence on the intellectual capabilities that God did or did not give you, but you can work as hard as possible. You can be scrupulously honest so that people respect you, and you can get along with others because nobody does anything by themselves.
Nobody you know has actually created success without working their face off.
If you think that you're going to go and accomplish something really special and be the best in anything in the world, and you think you can do it without working, you make a big mistake. Because no matter what I did, if it was in bodybuilding or in acting or if it was in the political arena, it always took a lot of work. And you got to put out, and you got to, something like a lot of sacrifices. Notice, if you're not willing to work hard, forget about it. So there's another rule that is very important.
Work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in, 80 to 100 hour weeks every week.
Yes, I get up at crazy hours, whether it's 3 o'clock in the morning, by the way. When we were talking in London, I was getting up at 3 because I had to be on set by 7. So whatever time my call time is, so my call time is at 7, then you back your clock up 4 hours, and then that's when I get up and train twice. I'll get cardio in and breakfast, and then I'll go hit the weights. Clanging and banging, we call it.
The only thing that I see that is distinctly different about me is I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. I will run.
You would not be outworked.
I will not be outworked, period. You might have more talent than me, you might be smarter than me, you might be sexier than me, but if we get on the treadmill together, right, there's two things. You're getting off first, or I'm gonna die. It's such a simple, basic concept. It's the guy who is willing to hustle the most is going to be the guy that consistently falls.
I always believe that the bridge between reality and a dream is work. And I always, in moments of despair and doubt and dark days, focus on the work. I show up and I work and I work and I work and I work.
The only thing that you can control that influences success in life is how hard you work, how honest you are, and how well you deal with others. You can control those variables. You can't control how lucky you are, although the more you work, the luckier you get. You have no influence on the intellectual capabilities that God did or did not give you, but you can work as hard as possible. You can be scrupulously honest so that people respect you, and you can get along with others because nobody does anything by themselves.
Nobody you know has actually created success without working their face off.
If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. My wife told me this great expression. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. Les Brown's a motivational speaker. He made an analogy about this. He says, imagine you're on your deathbed And standing around your deathbed are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential, the ghost of the ideas you never acted on, the ghost of the talents you didn't use. And they're standing around your bed, angry, disappointed, and upset. They say, we came to you because you could have brought us to life, they say. And now we have to go to the grave together. So I ask you today, how many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes? So you got to get out there. You got to give it everything you got, whether it's your time, your talent, your prayers, or your treasures.
That sense of being a part of something because we disagree.
Yes.
Because we have a different opinion, because we love something different. That is the mark. That's the mark of true belonging, to be able to say, yes, I am a part of something bigger, but I also will stand alone when I need to. And then it was like, oh, you belong everywhere and nowhere. And that is liberation. Don't walk through the world looking for evidence that you don't belong, because you will always find it. Don't walk through the world looking for evidence that you're not enough, because you'll always find it. Our worth and our belonging are not negotiated with other people. We carry those inside of our hearts. And so for me, I know who I am. I'm clear about that. And I'm not going to negotiate that with you. I will negotiate a contract with you. I will negotiate maybe even a topic with you, but I'm not going to negotiate who I am with you. Because then, and this is, I think, the heart of the book, then I may fit in for you, but I no longer belong to myself. And that is a betrayal I am not willing to do anymore. I spent the first 30 years of my life doing that. I'm not willing to betray myself anymore to fit in with you. I just can't do it. And so I think for Braving the Wilderness, the whole idea of the wilderness being those times when we stand alone, and those times when we go out on a limb, the times we walk away from what we know, our ideological bunkers and our beliefs, braving is the tool to help us manage the wilderness. I'll leave you with this. There will be times when standing alone feels too hard, too scary, and we'll doubt our ability to make our way through the uncertainty. Someone somewhere will say, don't do it. You don't have what it takes to survive the wilderness. This is when you reach deep into your wild heart and remind yourself, I am the wilderness.
So you take an insecure generation that now, through no fault of their own, struggles to cope with stress. They don't know how to cope with and deal with stress. And as they have told me, many of them will admit that they struggle to form deep, meaningful relationships. They will admit that many of their friendships are superficial, that their friends they know would cancel on them if they get a better plan, that they wouldn't really know who to talk to if they get depressed. And maybe they'll turn to an online support group, which is not a real thing. It's not human. And we've seen the impact of this. We're starting to see rises of depression in this generation. We're starting to see a rise of suicide in this generation. We're starting to see a rise of accidental death due to drug overdose from this generation. Universities are currently dealing with an epidemic that they've never dealt with before, which is the number of kids requesting leaves of absence due to depression. Now, those are all extreme examples. The less extreme and more likely example is that someone will go through life just never really finding joy or fulfillment. And everything's just fine. How's your job? It's fine. How are your friends? You know, they're fine. But no joy, because you just cannot, because joy, fulfillment comes from this. It comes from human interaction. We are social animals and we need it. And we have to learn to rely on our friends. And that skill is desperately lacking. So you add in the next one, impatience. This generation is often accused of being entitled. And if you've worked with any of them before, sure seems that way. But I would argue that we're misreading the tea leaves. They're not entitled, they're impatient. Again, let's practice empathy. How did they grow up? They grew up in a world of instant gratification. You want to buy something, you go on Amazon, it shows up the next day. You want to watch a movie, you don't check movie times, you just log on and download it whenever you want to watch it. Stream it, right? You want to watch a TV show, you don't wait week to week to week. You just binge watch for the weekend. In fact, if you want to get hold of somebody, you don't leave a message on their machine and wait 4 hours for them to get the message and call you back. You just text them and they'll call you, they'll get back to you literally instantaneously. They have falsely applied the instant gratification model to life fulfillment and career fulfillment. They want it all instantaneously. The problem is life, relationships, career, are not destinations like, look, I found the job I love. That's not how it works. It's not a scavenger hunt. I'm looking for the job that will, no, it doesn't work that way. It's a journey. It's the same with love. It's like, I found love. No, you didn't. You work hard every single day to stay in love. It's a journey. Yes, we all want to make an impact. What kind of impact? What do you want to do? How do you want to contribute to the world? This is what vision is. This is what why is. It's become generic and abstract. But the problem is they're wafting around. They'll go from job to job to job, hoping that the next one sticks. They go from relationship to relationship, hoping that the next one is the love that I've been looking for. They don't know how to ask for help, and it makes them feel even worse because they can't find the thing that they're looking for. Maybe it's me.
Always do the right thing. Always. Be excellent. People notice. Let excellence be your brand. Everybody talks about building a brand. I never even knew what that was. When people say, you're a brand, I would say, no, I'm just Oprah. What I recognize now is that my choice to, in every way, in every example, in every experience, to do the right thing and the excellent thing is what has created the brand. Years ago, I did an ad for Revlon for an ad they were doing called Unforgettable Women. And what I know is that when you are excellent, you become unforgettable. People remember you. You stand out. Regardless of what it is, you become an unforgettable woman. And that is what we all want. We want to be unforgettable and not forgettable. So doing the right thing, even when nobody knows you're doing the right thing, will always bring the right thing to you. I promise you that. Why? Because the third law of motion is always at work. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That is so true in all of our lives. That's what Newton said. Celia in The Color Purple said it. Everything you even try to do to me, already done to you. Everything you even try to do to me, already done to you. So you don't have to worry about revenge or getting back at somebody, making sure they pay. You just have to do the right thing, and the right thing will follow you even when people don't support it. Even when other people think it may not be. And oftentimes, when you make a decision to do the right thing, immediately you're faced with doubt. Was that the right thing? Was that the right decision? I don't know. Was that the right thing? You always know it's the right thing, when in the end, there is peace. You are rewarded by peace in knowing that you did the right thing. The most important thing I have come to know in doing the right thing and making the right choices is understanding what we talked about yesterday. All of you leaving here have the potential for enormous success. There's a price that comes with that. People don't always like you, and they're not always happy for you. And if you surround yourself with people who are not accustomed to your success, they become fearful. They become scared because you are reflecting back something to them that they don't recognize. People who want the best for you want you to be your best. So my greatest advice to you is to surround yourself with people who are going to fill your cup until your cup runneth over.
The reason I know so much about winning is because I've had to deal with so much losing. Everybody wants to win, but in order to know how to win, you gotta know how to lose, because you're gonna lose more than you're gonna win.
But every time you lose, what do you gain from it? So every time I've lost, people say you got to jump right back up. Get back right on your feet again. And I disagree with that. After you lose, or when you get knocked down, stay down there for a minute. Understand why you lost. What were the reasons? Why are you down here? Why did you lose? Why did you get knocked down? Because if you just jump right back up, you're going to lose again. And again, you continue to lose the same way. So every time I lost, I stayed down for a second. Minutes, hours, days, weeks. But when I stood up, I was different. I was smarter. And when I lost again, I stayed down. I stood back up. I was stronger. When I lost again, I stayed down. How did I stand up again? I was more confident. Lost again. Stood up. Was more resilient. Now you start putting the pieces that are necessary to win over and over and over again. So if you lose and you jump right back up and you haven't really changed, really changed from that loss, you're never going to learn from it, and you're never going to really truly know the unforgiving race to greatness, because that's part of the unforgiving part, is the losing part. That part is unforgiving. So what they're seeing, when they look in the mirror, they're just trying to see what's on the surface. But winning and losing wants to know what's inside of you. It wants to know what makes you tick. It wants to know what your desires are. It wants to know what your ego is. It wants to know what your limitations are. It wants to know what your mindset is. It wants to know everything about you, because winning does not lie. When you look in the mirror, you can lie and see what's on the surface. You cannot lie what's going on inside. And that's what people are not willing to see. The lies that are truly going on inside of them that are not allowing them to win over and over, or sometimes even win once. Winning requires you to go so far deep inside yourself. It's way beyond the surface. It's way beyond internal. It's going to a place that a lot of people haven't visited in a long, long time, because they're afraid to visit that person, because when they visit that person, they don't know who that person is anymore. It's not wanting to not only recognize your weaknesses, it's not wanting to acknowledge them, not to work on them, not to face them, and also what you have to do to change them.
You know, once you do find your frequency on something, is go forward if you're a non-tyrant and don't ask permission. And that's the not giving a damn part. I've found that the world will actually acquiesce and go, yeah, I'll give you a green light on that, if you actually go forward and mean it, and you're going to do it by hook or by crook and not ask permission. So I move out to Hollywood. I did Days Confused the summer of '92. I go back and graduate from University of Texas at Austin in '93. And then I drive out with my U-Haul and $2,000 to sleep on the couch of that guy that I met in the bar 2 years prior, who cast me my first job. $2,000. I know I'm sleeping on his couch, not paying rent, but $2,000 is going to go pretty quickly. And I'm starting, after about 2 weeks, I'm on a dime. And I need to, could you give me a meeting with an agent? Man, I need to get an agent. I need to get a job. And he snaps at me, cusses me out, and tells me, look, this town smells needy. You're done. What you need to do is get the hell out of here and go do something with your buds and forget about Hollywood and what you think you need. Anyway, I did. I took off with my two buddies with what little money we had, and we motorcycled through Europe for 6 weeks. Well, by the time I got back, I forgot all about needing an agent or, oh, I need to get a part. I just had great life experience for 6 weeks. And so he then brings it up about a week after I'm back and goes, you're ready. I go, for what? And he goes, tomorrow morning we got the meeting with the agent. I'm like, oh, great. He was right on the money, because I was able to go into that meeting and be myself, be involved in that meeting, and not be so impressed that I got that meeting. Less impressed, more involved. It's a trick, but it works in our life. I mean, sometimes if something is number one on our list and we've got to have it, oh, we need it, a lot of times we don't get it Think about it, whether it's that girl or whether it's that friend or whatever it is, man, if you make them the number one thing in your life, they're gonna go like, well, what else did you have going before you came to me? You know what I mean? I want somebody who had their shit together before they came to me a little bit. If I'm your everything, then I'm probably, a lot of times people will go, or situations will say, no, we don't want you because you need us too bad. Something about taking that trip to Germany got that need out of my mind, and the idea of getting a job or an agent in Hollywood became subliminally number 2 on my list of priorities. Just by sheer that I'd kind of forgotten about it and wasn't thinking about it all the time. Well, that allowed me to relax, to be involved in a meeting with an agent where they accepted me, to then go out on auditions and actually get them, because I was like, I really want this, but I don't need it. And there's a big difference. In Hollywood and fame, there's a game in Hollywood. It is an affair. It's not necessarily a marriage. And there's a game to play, and it's better to want it and not need it.
There's this great quote: life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. I love that, because there are going to be hard truths in all of our lives, and I feel like the only thing that we can control is how we contextualize what happens, and therefore how we respond to what happens. Let's say 2 people lose their job, which is absolutely not a good thing for most of us, right? We want to have a living, we need to have the income, we have the responsibility to our families. One person says, that's it, I'm washed up, I'm never going to work again, I'm irrelevant, and just starts being and feeling down about themselves, sitting on the couch, sleeping in late, not doing anything productive to change the situation. Same person loses the job, says, you know what, this is awful, and this really hurts. And maybe this is the opportunity that I've been looking for to start my own business. Or maybe this is an opportunity to find a job that's going to value me more and that I'm actually going to like. Different contexts create different actions, create different outcomes. Many of the times, what stops us all from figuring something out is we're afraid, right? We're afraid maybe we won't be able to do it, or we're just afraid of the area that we need to walk into in order to figure it out. And then people often have asked me, well, how do I know the difference between healthy fear that would be very good for me to move through versus my intuition or a gut instinct or a hunch going, no, that's actually going to be a shit show, right? Or that's just going to be, it's something you should not do. And that's a really important question. Here's what's awesome. You don't need to go asking other people for the answer. You have all of the wisdom you need inside of you. So if you are facing an opportunity, a possibility to say yes to a job, a speaking engagement, a date, who knows, it could be any realm of life, and you're not sure whether you should move ahead with it, here's what you need to do. Get to a place where you're quiet, nothing's around, make sure that there's no technology, and I would invite people to close their eyes while they do this. So ask yourself, does the idea of moving ahead with this, of saying yes to this, make me feel expansive or contracted? In the nanosecond after you ask yourself that question, your body will have a physical response. So expansive may actually be as though your shoulders are relaxing and your chest is opening up. Expansive may feel like even your physical body is moving ahead in space. Expansive may feel like a twinge or a tingle of excitement or joy or anticipation. Even if the notion of this feels intimidating to you or like something you've never done before, there is a lightness, a moving forward, ever so subtle, visceral yes, whether it shows up in word form or merely through the movement of your body.
We're beating ourselves up. Like, everybody sucks at something, right? Like, we all have shortcomings and we all have strengths. And for me, it's like, why don't we just audit that? Like, why don't we just look at it that way and be like, all right, well, I'm good at this, but I'm not good at that. Like, and then I only focus what I'm good at, right? Like, I don't dwell that I can't fix shit around the house. I call somebody to fix it. Like, I'm not a man. I don't give a fuck. I don't get it. I also think it's awesome that I'm so emotionally stable and I'm the emotional backbone of everybody. Is that what a dude's supposed to do? Like these cliches, these stereotypes, they're so silly. You're exactly right, man. I don't judge myself. I'm fully in love with myself. But I'm also fully in love with everybody else too, right? It's not like it goes both ways. Like, I tell people to buy into me that work for me, it's because I buy into them first. I don't need anybody to gain trust with me. It's there. Like, I believe that the human race is so grossly underrated. We are good. Of course we have some bad. There's 7 billion of us. But like, when you look at our net score, it's bonkers shit. Like, do you know how much damage we could be doing to each other on an hourly basis and we don't? Like, we're still here. Like, we won. We're the alpha being and we've figured out how to stay together. This is insane when you think about it. And yet everybody wants to dwell on like somebody said something mean. Like to me, it's just binary. Like, unless it's complete death blow, death. To me and my 17 people that I give a shit about, like, everything else is super secondary. And let me tell you something, if you actually get into that mindset, it gets real good. Like, everybody like makes these big deals out of things that just don't matter. It's perspective. You know, my selfishness comes from my selflessness. Like, it's what makes me feel good. I see it in my mother. My mom is the epicenter to every single person in her life. Her sister-in-law, her, you know, cousins, aunts, everybody goes to her. That's her comfort zone. Me too. Ask Gary Vee. Like this is my comfort zone. Like, I like this. Like, I hate when people are like, what can I do for you? Like, I say nothing. I don't want anything. I hate that feeling. I went into my family business because I felt like I owed it to like pay them back. Those are my parents. So if that's what I feel about them, what do you think I think about everybody else?